Hey, and welcome to the Izi Chinchay show.
I used to regret it. I used to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe and I was embarrassed. I was like embarrassed. I stopped playing and all these things. That's why I was like off social media for the longest time. It was like such a hard reality for me to face. I was like, why am I embarrassed by this? I don't really know.
I am so pumped that you tuned in. My goal with the show is to inspire and motivate you to the best of my abilities. I believe our world needs more leaders, and I believe that you, my listener, are a leader, and that you have the opportunity to impact your community and family by simply being you. I truly am here to try and serve and offer value to your life. And if you enjoy the show, it would mean the most to me if you could please either rate, subscribe, or share the show with anyone who you think might benefit from listening. Together, we can make this world a better place. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you love today's episode.
Welcome. Today we'll be talking about soccer and how important soccer has been in my development as a person, as an entrepreneur, as a soccer player, as a human, right? And the ways that soccer has impacted me and the ways that I think are incredibly important for you to interact with your team, with your coaches, with your trainers, with your teammates, because the truth is, yes, soccer is amazing and playing in college is awesome and leveling up and like winning and all the things. But what soccer can actually give to you and what it's given to me in the long run is lifelong friendships and incredible connections. Like all of my closest friends in my life right now, I know because of soccer. Like all four of my best friends, I know because of soccer. And I had a player that I talked to recently, and she's dedicated a lot of her time and her energies and her efforts to soccer. She's played clubs, she's played high school, and this decision time started to come up. She realized she doesn't want to play in college. And she was like, man, I feel like I'm wasting. I don't want all that work, everything that I've done for soccer and all the hours and the money to go to waste. And I said, whoa, 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 whoa. None of it is going to waste. None of it's going to waste, because I was like, who's your best friend? She talks about who her best friend. Who's your other best friend? Every single one of her friends. I said, so where do you know all these friends from? It was from soccer. And furthermore, once you get older and, there's a job interview and there's a job opportunity, there's a connection, you'll realize that soccer's kind of a small world. And so old teammates, old coaches have connections all over the place. Like, it's crazy how it's come back to me now, just having a connection with a coach that I thought I was potentially going to play for like 5 years ago. And now we talk about, hey, should we get this player to like maybe come out for a visit and maybe they'll get recruited. And it's a coach that I almost went and played for when I was like 20 years old. And now we're friends and we talk about the recruitment game together. And so the truth is, soccer is an amazing game. It's a beautiful game, and I love the game. But you don't owe the game anything. You don't owe the game anything. Right? So if you've dedicated all this time to the game, be grateful that what the game gave you, but you don't have to give it back anything in return. You don't owe it anything in return. You just need to be grateful and be like, all right, I'm not going to feel guilty about not continuing my career or whatever it is, but I'm going to be grateful that I have this, opportunity to have amazing friendships. And like something that happened to me was so crazy. It was like a community college athletic trainer that I had known and had a relationship with. He ended up vouching for me once I was signing at NTSU, and was just like, yeah, she's a good kid, like she trains hard, blah blah blah. But like, if I had not taken good care of that relationship, and if I had treated that guy like crap, then yeah, that opportunity would have come back around and he wouldn't have vouched for me. So soccer is incredible and I freaking love the sport, but I don't play the sport anymore. Unfortunately, I've had a lot of knee injuries and a lot of injuries that I don't want to talk about, but suck. And if I could play the sport still, I would, and hopefully I'll get back to playing it lightly soon. But I'm still so a part of the sport. I'm so a part of the sport. So don't feel like if you're not just going to play, you're not going to be in college, you're not going to go professionally. You don't need to feel like you can't be a part of it. I mean, maybe you feel that way, but that's not the truth. You can still be a part of it. There are so many people who are a part of the game of soccer who haven't even really played soccer at a high level. Haven't even, you think about different coaches and trainers and speed and agility and what are they called? The people that come on the field and take care of you when you're injured. Like, there's so many pieces to this game. And I've seen it as like I have been able to like zoom out and see all these different connections that I've made, and it's such a great baseline to relate on. And it kind of bleeds out of soccer, like whatever your area was that you maybe dedicated a lot of time, energy, and effort to, as a young adult or as a high schooler, like think about those connections now and how those connections can help you now in the space that you're in, right? So for me, it is soccer because that was my sport. But maybe it was baseball for you, or football, or volleyball, or tennis, whatever it is. It's never a waste to have gone all in on something and dedicated a lot of time and energy and effort to something that was progressing you, right? And then maybe you choose afterwards, like, yeah, no, not anymore. It's not going to continue to progress me in this new lane of life. But that doesn't mean that it was for a waste, because you can just transfer all those skills that you learned from being a dedicated athlete or whatever it was to the next phase of your life. And furthermore, you can take all those connections, all those relationships that you've built, and have them help you in the next space. And so if you're listening to this right now and this is landing for you, this is so for you right now, because I wasn't even going to make this podcast today, but I was like, I think I need to talk about this today. So if you've dedicated your life to something and then you've had to switch, right? And like that was me, right? I was the person who was like, I dedicated 15 years to one thing and then chose to no longer continue with it. But I am continuing with it. It's just in a different lane. If that's you, you're okay. It's so not for naught. It was not a waste to go all in on something and then have to shift. You learned skills, you made connections, and now you could just take it in another direction. And that's the other thing I want you to think about, is like, how can you take skills that you've learned from one specific thing and apply them to the new area that you're in, right? And that's why, like, athletes, if you have dedicated a bunch of time to your sport and are not continuing in college or beyond, don't give up on, don't stop being fit, don't stop working out, and don't stop learning don't stop communicating with teammates, right? It's like right now we live in a society that's so divided and everyone does their things separately. Like, that's one of the beautiful things about being a part of the team. It's a team. There's cohesion, there's conflict. You have to learn how to communicate and how to work together. That's a beautiful thing. And honestly, we need to take those skills and apply that to our families and apply that same conflict resolution to our families and be like, yeah, this sucks. I'm pissed at you. But we're in this and we're on the same team. We're on the same team and we want the same things. Right? We want the same things. Most of us don't want to be fighting with other people. Like, that's not actually what we want. We just want our feelings to be heard. We want to be understood. And we want to actually be moving towards the same thing. We have common goals. And when you're a team, you guys all want the same thing. You're all trying to win the season. You're trying to win the championship. You're doing all the work in the preseason, right? In the season, in the mid-season, when it's so hard, all of that, you guys are still thinking, yeah, but we got to push. We got to win. We got to get to the next game. We got to have that. Dude, that is life. That is what life is. We have seasons. We have seasons of life, man. I'm like, my preseason with this podcast, that was a tough season, right? The toughest seasons are preseason, right? Because that's when you're just grinding. You're doing all the pre-work. And for me, that was a lot of internal work and just being okay with seeing my face on camera and listening to my voice. I was like, wow, that is really hard. That was the preseason work for me. And that's like so much of what soccer has taught me in life. There are seasons. There are seasons for everything. And if you statistically, when you look at a team, the way it goes, the preseason's the hardest, right? But it's also where we grow the most, because all we're focused on is the training. We're not actually in the games yet. We're just focusing on getting fitter, faster, stronger, more skilled, all the things. And then we slow down on that. And then it's all up here. We're trying to fight through the season. And we're trying to progress, but it's hard to progress because you're not training as much. You're playing games. And when you're playing games, yeah, you're playing, but you're not training all of the things, and you're traveling, and you only have a couple days a week where you're really getting better at soccer, right? And then we fight. And that's just like life. Like, it's like, okay, we did all the pre-work, and now we're in it. I'm not getting that much better at something, but I'm at least in it, and I have to do the work. And then the season drops off. And then we get a little break time. We usually get a little bit of break time. Either we won or we lost, and we're sad or we're happy. It's pretty much how it is, right? At the end of the season, we get a little bit of a dead time. And that's how life works. You get a little dead time. We get really, really busy, and then sometimes it's like, whew. And it's been such a lesson for me to learn that when it's a dead time, that's a recovery mode, especially as an entrepreneur. There are times where it's like, dude, I am barely hanging on. It's insane. I got to jump on new opportunities and new meetings and all the things. And it's like boom, 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 and it's good. And then the low comes after. And I got to hang out there and be like, hey, this is recovery. And then we slowly start to come out of it. And then what is it? It's spring season. It's grind time, right? It's play a couple games time, get really fit time. Right? It's like we're in it. We're back. We're doing the work. We're facing ourselves. Like, we're going to the conferences. We're reading the books. We're listening to the podcasts. Like, and then we go back into preseason. And that's kind of how life is. And that's what soccer's taught me. And if you're an athlete, especially a soccer player, then like take take what you know about soccer season, about the actual seasons of soccer, and apply it to the rest of your life. And use it. Understand that there are times where we're really progressing, and there are times where we're just grinding, and it almost feels like, what am I doing this for? We're not moving forward at all. Like, all we're doing, and it's like, yeah, you're just laying foundational work. You're building bricks laterally like this. So it feels like you're barely moving, but you are. It's just you're making a solid foundation. And that's why I'm like so grateful for soccer. And I used to regret it. I used to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I was embarrassed. I was like embarrassed. I stopped playing and all these things. That's why I was like off social media for the longest time. It was like such a hard reality for me to face. I was like, why am I embarrassed by this? I don't really know. It's so funny. We have these things that we're embarrassed about that there's no real reason to be embarrassed for. But that's a side note. But I used to have that resistance around it. But I was like, wait a second. If I choose to have that attitude, choose to be embarrassed that I didn't continue, that I wasn't a professional, that blah, 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 all these things, if I choose to sit and feel that, then yeah, everything I did is and was a waste. Everything would be. But if I choose to be like, dude, no way. Look at the friendships. Look at the connections. Look at the athletes that I get to help now. It's a massive win. So there is absolutely nothing wrong. And it's so funny because I'm a recruitment coach. Like, this is what I teach kids. This is my main thing that I book and I sell to parents, is how to get recruited. I don't take on every athlete. I don't work with every athlete. And I will never sit there and try and convince an athlete to play college soccer just so they purchase my course and work with me. Ever. I will never, ever, ever, ever do that. Because in the end, that won't serve me or them. It's not worth it. But those athletes that are like, hey, I'm realizing that college is not for me. I just don't have that love, that passion to compete at such a high level anymore. I'm like, hey, that's fine. Let's look at everything else that soccer got you in your life. I mean, just on a baseline, it's kept you fit and healthy and strong. That is so rare right now. It's so rare for people to like have discipline, to work out, stay fit, stay healthy, strong, all the things. And also, there are so many spaces in the soccer world that like need to be filled. There are coaches, there are assistant coaches, there's athletic trainers. There's so many spaces where we need more soccer people, right? And if you want to totally not be in the field, that's fine too. But I'm just saying there might be some really great opportunities, or you create an opportunity like I did. You create something for yourself. But soccer is a really beautiful sport, and people it's kind of culty. People who are like with soccer, like you're with soccer, I'm with soccer. They want to connect and they want to collaborate, and you know there's space there for you. So if you're not going to continue, it's fine. You're fine. Don't let it be for a waste. And that goes for different spaces in life, right? I assume it's a soccer player listening to this podcast, but it could also be an entrepreneur, a business owner, or just one of my homies. Like, you're in the space that you need to, and you traveled on a path that was good for you for the time being. And if we're switching, it's okay. We're switching over, but we're still going to use all the skills that we got from the one thing and transfer them over. And please, 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 use your connections. Resource leveraging all day long. Old coaches, old teammates, and that's something I'm trying to really get back into, is just like connecting with old teammates. So if you're an old teammate and you're listening to this, please hit me up. Like, let's connect. But teammates, coaches, trainers, all the things, right? It's so much easier to connect with someone when you at least like have a base, like you used to know them, opposed to just like cold having to do a cold intro and everything like that. So it's a pretty quick one today, but I love you. Thanks for listening. Soccer's amazing. You're amazing. Go get it.
Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, I would greatly appreciate if you could share this episode with 5 people you think could benefit from the show. Also, please feel free to connect with me on Instagram at Izi Chinchay or my website at izichinchay.com. Thank you so much for being you. Keep being a leader and making this world a better place.